name is Christopher Skaife, and I am the Ravenmaster at Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress, the Tower of London. Darkness now completely enveloped the tower. I stood in the centre of Tower Green and called out in Ravenish. Melina didn't reply. I checked my watch again. By now, my wife would be standing at the front door. I hurried off to look for Melina in her favourite places, to see if she was playing hide and seek, as she likes to do when she wants to hold me up. First, I searched the holly tree. No sign of her. Then I searched both Christmas trees on Tower Green. I'd seen her climb up the centres of them a number of times during December and pop the light bulbs with her beak. Again, nothing. I widened my search and climbed the steps of the bloody tower to see if she was perched on top of Raleigh's Walk. She liked to watch the boats going up and down the Thames. No doubt Sir Walter Raleigh did exactly the same thing 400 years earlier. But Melina wasn't up the wall. I came down the steps a bit sharpish. I never felt entirely comfortable on Sir Walter Raleigh's walkway. Something about it always makes me feel sad. Anyway, time was getting on. At this rate, I was going to miss my birthday meal. And worse, I was keeping my wife waiting. I would have to go to DEFCON 2. I hurried to the storeroom to get out the shark's eye. In the army, that's what we call a bright searchlight. If Melina was hiding in some dark recess, the shark's eye would soon flush her out. I walked around the inner ward again, shining the shark's eye. Nothing. Our table was booked for 2100. I had less than an hour to find the Raven, get ready for the night out, and go to the restaurant. Not absolutely impossible, but my window of opportunity was closing fast. I walked under the archway of the bloody tower and up the cobbled incline towards Tower Green. Suddenly, I heard a faint cronking sound. I stood motionlessly for a moment, straining to hear the noise again. It must have been my imagination, so I carried on walking. But as I got to the boardwalk steps, I heard it again, only this time it was clear. The distinctive clicking sound Melina and I used to acknowledge one another. I couldn't make out where the sound was coming from, so I called back to see if she would answer. To my great relief, she did. Fantastic, I thought. I had found her. It was a Christmas miracle. The miracle was short-lived when I realised just where she was. She had managed to scramble under the wooden platform that leads into the lower chamber of the Wakefield Tower, where we keep our instruments of torture. There was a gap of all about 8 inches, and Melina had managed to cram herself in there. I had no idea how I was going to get her out. The platform sits above a big stinking cesspit, about 20 feet wide and 7 feet deep. It was once the site of an old Georgian guardhouse, but it now has no function whatsoever, apart from collecting stagnant rainwater, tourist rubbish, and pigeon carcasses. I always refer to it as the Pit of Doom. It was now the only obstacle between me and my birthday celebrations. I climbed over a black iron fence that wraps its way around the grassed area of that tower and got down onto my belly. The grass was soaking wet, but at this stage I didn't care. My legs were already painfully bruised from the unfortunate encounter that I'd previously had with Erin and Rocky. I had walked what seemed like miles looking for Melina, and I was saturated to the skin. What more could possibly go wrong? I shone my shark's eye under the platform to see if indeed Melina was there, and not the ghost of Christmas past. I called out to her again. She didn't call back, but I could make out the silhouette of her beak, and that was good enough for me. She had tucked herself right at the very back of a tiny crack, and was way out of reach, even with my crook at its fullest extent. I would have to venture into the Pit of Doom. Wading into a 7-foot deep pit was something I certainly did not want to do, since I'm rather shorter than 7 foot, and I had no desire to drop down into a well of cold, filthy, stagnant water. Fortunately, there was a set of narrow steps attached to the wooden uprights that lined the pit, presumably there for the maintenance boys to access the area. If I could just ease myself around the pit on them steps, I'd be able to reach down and grab Melina. I lowered a foot onto the first step to see if it would take my weight. No problem. Second step, good. All okay. Third step, crack. I had one of those life flashing before your eyes moments, and the next thing I remember is sinking down into a stinking pool of water as rubbish and rotten pigeon carcasses swirled around me. I couldn't believe my luck, or lack of it, as I dragged myself out of the freezing water and made direct eye contact with Melina, who at this stage had crawled out of her hiding place and was perched directly above me, wagging her beak. I've seen it many times during my military career, when things just can't get any worse. For some reason, you just start to laugh, and this was one of those moments. We never got out for our birthday dinner. Fortunately, my wife saw the funny side of the story. We stayed in that night for a romantic meal of beans on toast for two. That's the other thing you need as a Ravenmaster, a sense of humour and a forgiving partner. Now, let me call the birds in the correct order this time. I'll bang my stick. Erin and Rocky, Harris and Grip, Moonin and Jubilee. That's the way to do it.